What up? It's your boy Wall Street, and I'm back. No, I haven't been posting in a couple of days, but here I am, and it's basketball time. So let's get down to it. TyTy Washington Jr. is signing a 1-year, $2.3 million deal with the Los Angeles Clippers. And if you guys are unfamiliar with TyTy Washington Jr., he is a point guard out of the University of Kentucky. He was a first-round pick in the 2022 NBA draft. He was the 29th overall pick in that draft class. Originally selected by the Memphis Grizzlies and then was traded to the Houston Rockets, where he spent his rookie season. He has bounced around quite a bit since then. He played for Houston, he played for Milwaukee, and then he played for Phoenix last season. So he has talent. And he's young, right? He's only 23 years old. He'll be 24 here in November. But, you know, he's one of those guys where I feel like he probably would have benefited from staying in college maybe another year or two. And we see this happen all the time in the NBA, right? And, you know, guys, you know, tend to bounce around the league a little bit until they eventually fall out of the league. I don't think he's going to fall out of the league, at least, you know, not yet. And, you know, but like, you know, he had really good games in college, right? He had a game in college where he had 17 points and 17 assists, right? That was that beat John Wall's record for assists in a game, you know, for the University of Kentucky. And shout out John Wall. If you know me, you know how much I love John Wall. So, you know, that's pretty amazing to beat one of John Wall's records, right? He also had a career high 28 points when they played a game against Tennessee his freshman year. Finished that year with averages of 12.5 points per game, 3.9 assists, and 3.5 rebounds a night. So it just seems like if he had stayed in college, he could have been a guy that, you know, by his junior year, senior year, he could be averaging 25 points a game, right? And he might have improved his draft stock, right? The NBA clearly favors guys that are younger coming into the league, so I understand why he wanted to get to the league. You know, there's a lot more money to be made. You know, maybe now that's different with NIL, but back in, 2021, I feel like it was a little different. So I think him signing with the Clippers, though, is a good move because he's probably not going to get a lot of playing time, right? But I've said this before about the Clippers is, the average age of this team is pretty high, right? They have very few young players on this team. They have Cam Christie, they have Kobe Brown, they drafted Yannick Conan, who's a center out of Penn State. They got him in this past year's draft. But besides that, they don't really have a ton of like super young guys, right? Like Ivica Zubac is not old, but he's not, on the super young side. Same thing with John Collins. And then James Harden, Bradley Beal, Kawhi Leonard, and Chris Paul, they're all kind of in the twilight years of their career, right? Like they're kind of on the way out. They're still impactful players, don't get me wrong, but, this is not their prime. So there is a real possibility here that, maybe James Harden, sits out a couple of games. Maybe Chris Paul's out a couple of games. Maybe Bradley Beal's out a couple of games. So there is a potential for TyTy Washington Jr. to get minutes because of those guys missing games. I feel like if they're not missing games, though, he's not going to play. And that's just the reality of the league for, a lot of players that are in similar shoes to TyTy Washington. So, he's played 58 career games, right, over 3 seasons. That's not that many. Only played 16 games last season for the Suns, playing 7.4 minutes a night. Did not have good shooting splits. Shot 31% from the field, 19% from 3, 50% from the free throw line. So this is really this is kind of make or break moment for, TyTy Washington Jr. And do I think he can, make his mark and figure out how to stick around the league? Yes, because he's a guy that can push the ball with pace. He's a good, driver to the basket. He's a good slasher, right? He's a guy that could play the 2 if you really needed him to, but he can't really play the 2 well in the modern NBA because he's not an elite defender and he's not a guy that's a knockdown shooter. So in order for him to really stick in the league, he's got to figure out how to add one of those things to his game so that he is forced to be played in a sense, right? Like he's got to give Ty Lue a reason to be like, all right, this guy has to be on the court, right? So we'll see what happens. I'm certainly rooting for him. He's out of Phoenix, Arizona. Shout out Phoenix, in the greater Phoenix and Scottsdale area. But he's got talent. It's just a matter of, can he really make an impact on an NBA roster? And I hope we get to see him in some games this year. I'll definitely be tuning into some Clippers games on League Pass because, they'll probably get some national TV games. But, when they're not, I'll be on League Pass. You know what I do. So that's all I got, guys. TyTy Washington Jr. going to the Clippers on a 1-year deal. Let me know your thoughts. Put some comments down below. Let me know what it is and what's up. And I'm going to catch you guys later, man. Stay up, stay blessed, stay safe, stay humble, handle business, stand on business. Peace out.